Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. I feel slightly off of frame. If you can see, actually, I've got here my my regular shirt instead of a t-shirt underneath the Zane hoodie. A bit of an odd fashion statement, but it's because I've been in costume. I'll get to that eventually. First thing that happened this week, I guess, well, I said that the VIVA was going to happen the day after Walking Wednesday last week, and it did. So I shall indeed talk about that. So the VIVA, as it turns out, well, which is what the name of the examination was just a series of 4 questions, making sure that we'd taken things from spontaneous theatre classes. We had a bit of a theoretical understanding behind them, and we were able to respond as eloquently as possible, and also concisely, because one question was just one word, which I was hoping was going to be where I could demonstrate I read the books that we were assigned, but apparently that was not to be the case. Such a shame. The questions themselves were, I'm just looking to make sure there's no cars yet, all over there. The questions themselves were quite simple. So there was one which was something about a skill that you had learnt. A game that we had played, and our learning therein. That's the question. I've just received a text from, I think that's Megan in the corner there, asking if I have Snapchat. Well, okay, I will reply to that later, Megan, but yes, I do in fact have Snapchat. That was a weird thing to say. Either way, what was I? Oh yeah, the next question. Oh yes, a transferable skill that we'd applied elsewhere. So I talked about the fact with the time that I played Julius Pike. I remember I mentioned that in one of the previous videos. Yes, I took the Mutant Girl character and I portrayed him in real life, but as a younger child version of himself. Oh, I say younger child and I come to a park or some sort of field of nondescript nature. What was I saying? Yeah, the next question was one word that you think needed for successful improvisation. I said intuition. I was going to say confidence. If someone said confidence before, I went with intuition. It's all fairly straightforward stuff, really. And the last question was the art of the theatre, the ways of the theatre, the ways of communicating. I think something like that. There was a rather spelling quote, and what did we think that quote actually meant? So yeah, it just basically turned out I said that the theatre, that if the theatre was all about the nuances of human interaction and capturing that, then Sperling was probably suggesting that they were one and the same. This is all very boring academic stuff, but I know that appeals to some people. Then, after that, let's get to some YouTube stuff. And let's turn around. Of course they turn it on right when I show up. Because of course, what's Walking Wednesday supposed to be without annoying background noise? Obviously. Okay. Back to what I was saying. Let's get to some good old-fashioned YouTube stuff. I have actually been working with Team Mania again for the first time in a while. I keep sending Mania the odd lines that she needs for my Mr. Kills character of Ian, and all of his reiterations that have come from there. Or that actually he was from Skydust originally, I think. So yeah, my Skydust character that I never voiced in Skydust, but I voiced in Mystic Hills, called Ian, that has had various incarnations since then. Honestly, once you start reusing your characters like that, it does get confusing at times. But it turns out we're able to make some new characters now, with the exception of Mania for this new roleplay we're doing, called Yandere High. And actually, the first episode came out on Mania's channel already. I recorded my perspective. I haven't run to editing it because I'm doing something else, which I'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, if you want to see what kind of hijinks ensued from the first episode, then go over to Mania's channel and give it a watch. And of course Mania is still playing Mania, because why would she not play herself? Either way, I think apparently Leon is going to join. Leon is also another reoccurring character, but he's going to join at some point. Apparently, I have no idea. It's a bit of a strange idea to just have those two. But I suppose if they work off each other very well, then I can't really complain. It all depends, because we're all still figuring out our chemistry between each other. Because again, it's all spontaneous theatre, which again was what the VIVA was about. So we didn't have a clear goal in mind, what we were aiming to achieve. Like for example, my character, I'm going to demonstrate more about his arc when I give my video, but he ended up being more invested in trying to be ultra social and make a lot of friends all at once, and but then became somewhat intrigued by the people who have wolf ears or tails or like demon horns and everything, and the investigation thereof. I'm thinking of like expanding him into somewhat of an investigator. And also he's now terrified of one of the characters, but I won't say anything else because I want you to check out the video, please. Go and support Mania. She was kind enough to invite me back to that, even though I haven't really spoken to her so much in almost a year. Speaking of that, actually, the last time I really contributed properly to a Mania discussion was when she was being compared to Aphmau so much. Like the whole Mania versus My Street thing from last year, which apparently people are now watching again. I looked at my analytics today and I saw that people had one of my most viewed videos in, I think, the past 24 hours was the Mania versus My Street video that I made almost a year ago. I probably should not be walking with these shoes in the middle of the forest. That's part of my costume. I should, it's not a forest, it's not a green area, but it's not green anymore because deciduous trees. Deciduous, high rainfall. Deciduous, a seasonal variation. If you don't get that reference, then you haven't been on my channel for very long, because that is a very old song that I collaborated with my friend Adele on. Which way should I go? I'll just keep going forward. I'll just end up being lost if I keep on walking a random direction like this. And also my shoes, my toes are rubbing against them, so I shouldn't be walking in them for too long. I should have gotten changed. Dana was right. Come on. Come on. And off we go. Okay. So that was Friday and Saturday, because the recording ended up being so late that we started planning for it on Friday and it overlapped into Saturday. So Saturday, after that wrapped up, I just slept. That was basically it. I just slept. Sunday I was working on my creative writing essay, slept some more. Started writing the song that I was gonna edit, the edit for before the Andre High episode came out, because that's one that's going to take priority, because even though the music girl should take priority, episode 10, I actually have to get this video out sooner because it is about COPPA. And I aimed for it to be out yesterday, but I ended up getting a call from a friend I hadn't spoken to in a while, and I just stayed and hung up with him for a while. Makes sense. So that was Tuesday. Monday, I don't know, what did much happen on Monday? Not really, just still preparing for that COPPA video, doing a bit of Mutant Girl stuff. I know, just rehearsing for our final assessment for the practical. We just realised that we're all going to be separated now in the class. That's a shame because I really enjoy working with everyone there, or at least going to share our work. It'd be such a shame, especially because Dane and I have now worked on two projects together, Enceladus and Consent. Which, by the way, the Consent video is probably I'm gonna have to see if that's gonna be marked correctly, because I've marked it not for kids, obviously. But she said to me that I should mark my entire channel as not for kids, and that will become interesting, because like some videos of mine definitely are, you know, something that would appeal to the children more so than adults or teens. But then others are more of a grey area, and other videos will just appeal to no one because they're entirely and incredibly boring. So, who knows? It's a shame. People have been calling through their channels, unlisting their videos. Everyone's panicking so much. I've looked into this now, and I don't think it's as much of a huge deal as it's made out to be anymore. It's still a huge deal, don't get me wrong. It's just not in the way that people have thought. I feel like the FTC will do a bit more of a good job, like culling through the resources that they have and are targeting mostly bigger channels, but also actually discussing any examples with them that they might want to see. I think they seem more human than the YouTube bot. I don't think they're going to just issue out fines all willy-nilly, because that becomes a very dangerous situation if they get into that. And Dana would say, why would they care? Because they're the government. But I do think they do care. If I can say one thing about the FTC, they seem genuine. They seem genuinely invested in child protection. It's not just a way to get money. Yes, they bragged about the fine they gave YouTube and how it was the largest COPPA fine ever. But honestly, the way they went about it, they seemed like they were just concerned about the child protection, and they wanted to send a message. And that's why the fine was so large. They wanted to send a message. I feel like that's it. Okay, I'm going to turn back. There's no point. I don't normally walk in a circle. Actually, I'm not going to walk in a circle. I want to kind of go through the park, actually. Show a bit of the scenery that I just discovered. Yeah, I'm going to walk through the park. Why not? This is probably the furthest out that I have walked on one of these. I tend to go around more familiar areas, or in the case of last week, an unfamiliar area, but one that I kind of knew. As in this instance, essentially. So anything else I'm missing out? Enceladus, actually, I'm gonna finish finally, like tomorrow. I'm gonna finally get the last recording done of that character, so I can then process that audio at the same time as the Mutant Girl audio. Send that off to Dylan, and hopefully that can be produced. And Enceladus will probably be marked not for kids, actually, because the animation isn't gacha, so it won't be a chibi style. It will be a more, I don't know. I don't know if mature is the right word for this, but it will look vastly different to the traditional original stuff that I have put out. So and also the dialogue, of course, because the characters are older themselves, the dialogue is a lot more complex. And yes, it can get more complex than the language used in the Mutant Girl. I know my 12-year-olds in that cast, or 13-year-olds now, sound like they're 20. But here's the thing. This Enceladus actually has characters in their 20s. So, yeah, that's the thing. And also there's no child actors featured in those ones, so that's another aspect. Okay, I think that's good for now. I'm gonna sign off here. and hopefully this will be uploaded by the time I get home at this point, because honestly, where the heck am I? Let us now retrace our steps. And while I do that, please be sure to leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. And on that note, until next time, farewell.